Amelie.
I pulled on Joker's hand and left the castle of chess, and he softly called my name. He was the one who had been verbally attacked, and yet he was much calmer than I was.
Are you sure you're okay with this? You didn't get to talk to the Chess King about access to the restricted shelf.
Well, I just couldn't bear it anymore. Once I opened my mouth, I let out all the emotions I'd been holding inside. What angered me most was the way they spoke to you was so rude, Joker. You've been punished enough by losing your memory, haven't you, Joker? Memories should be important to everyone. Because without them, there were no good times, no worthwhile experiences, and no acquired knowledge. You can't even remember what crime you committed, Joker. It's not right of them to blame you like that. I didn't know what he did in the past, so there was a limit to what I could say. But I couldn't bear for him to be insulted.
Thanks, Amelie.
Joker smiled softly at me as I let out my frustration over the injustice of it all.
You're angry on my behalf.
It's nothing to thank me for. You're searching for your lost memories, just like me. Joker was the only one who truly understood me. We were comrades with the same objective. Allowing someone to insult you is the same as having them insult me. No, even more so. I can't bear it. Joker regarded me gently with his vivid rose-colored eyes and slowly opened his mouth to speak. The look that he gave was unusually serious, so I returned his gaze and waited to listen to what he had to say.
Until I met you, I never wanted to know about the crime I committed in any memories. As for what I think about my heinous crime, well, I don't remember anything, so there's nothing that can be done. I guess it's over and done with. My punishment was losing my memory, so I thought I had already atoned. No.
Joker lowered his eyes a fraction, and I detected the self-scorn in his voice.
It would be more apt to say I tried to convince myself that it was over. The truth is, I was afraid to know what great crime I had committed.
Joker. This was the first time that he had showed any sign of weakness in front of me. He hesitated for a brief moment before going on.
Although I know myself as Joker now, maybe I'm forgetting something that will completely overturn who I think I am. What exactly I did, and what in my past made me commit a crime. I no longer know? Of course not, because I don't remember.
I still couldn't say anything as I watched him smile hesitantly. He must have carried the heavy burden of a crime he couldn't remember for quite some time. I felt I wasn't in a position to say anything, as we hadn't known each other for very long.
But while spending time with you, I've been forced to seriously reflect on my lost memories. I felt like I've been forced to face something that I've subconsciously ignored until now. Amelie.
Joker once again raised his eyes to look at me when he asked,
Do you remember asking me if I wanted to regain my memory, even if it might be bad?
Yes, of course. It was on our way back from the Castle of Heart. Joker believed me when I insisted I wanted to remember my forgotten past. He then asked me,
But if the memories you lost were not good, would you still want to know? I'm sure there must have been fun moments in your past, but undoubtedly there were other times which weren't so pleasant. Can you still say unequivocally that you want to remember your past? That's when you said, the choice of whether or not to attempt to regain one's lost memories is up to each individual. You said, how am I supposed to move forward if I don't know anything about my past? That I don't care what my memories hold. I want to know more about myself.
Following this statement, Joker released an impassioned sigh.
Those words came as a shock to me. It made me realize that I was subconsciously afraid of learning about myself. As soon as I realized this, I began to question my decision to turn my back on my crime and myself. Is forgetting about my crime really any way for atoning for it? I realized that in order for me to truly atone for my crimes, I need not to forget it, but learn to accept it.
For the first time, I realized what had spurred Joker's decision to remember his past. He wanted to atone for his crime, in the true sense of the word. He was willing to face what must be a painful past for him. Joker's so strong. Not many people would be able to face their troubles head on.
I'm just glad that you're safe. If we had let that conversation run its course, I was worried that you might be captured by the Chess King. To be honest, I probably should have calmly watched over this situation. Thanks to that, we didn't have time to talk about the Wonder Biblion's restricted shelves.
No, it was nice of you to worry about me. So, instead of getting what Joker himself needed to regain his memory, he placed greater priority on my safety, which proved Joker cared about me in his own way. For some reason, that fact pleased me. Thanks, Joker. I looked straight at him as I smiled and thanked him. In turn, he looked away as if he were embarrassed. Just then...
Alice.
The voice that called my name appeared right beside us, out of nowhere. Joker's expression suddenly tightened. He stepped forward in front of me to protect me. You're... While I was puzzled by his sudden appearance and his distinctive aura, he addressed me with apparent amusement.
I am the spinner of tales. How do you do, my dearest Alice?
As soon as he spoke those words to me... Ouch! I was attacked by a stronger headache than the previous one in the Wonder Biblion. I didn't know where, but somewhere, he and I were talking. I couldn't hear our voices, but the one thing I was sure of was... I've met the Spinner of Tales before. I was certain of it. Did you turn me into Alice?
I would like to say yes, but... Your tone implies that I forced you to become Alice. That is not true. You chose to become Alice.
Huh?
That is why you are Alice. Regardless of your past, you are now Alice, and no one else.
As I listened to his voice, I gradually started to think that maybe he was right, and maybe I was Alice. I felt myself starting to give in to the lure of his voice, and fought desperately to stop myself from nodding my head. That's not true. I shook my head in silent denial. I'm Amelie. I looked directly at him and spoke clearly.
It appears you still have some memories that you have no need of. What I require is for Alice to be forever lost in Wonderland.
As soon as he said those words, he glided his quill through the air. Just then, lines of black ink traced the ground as if they were going to surround me. By the time I realized I was in trouble, a round hole had opened beneath my feet. The ground that I had just been standing on disappeared. I started to fall helplessly, but...
Amelie!
Joker grabbed my hand. He held on tight as we both fell together. I screamed at the sudden impact.
Are you alright, Amelie?
Yes. I had landed halfway on top of Joker. I wasn't hurt anywhere. Joker must have tried to protect me and taken the fall. I had no idea how far we had fallen. It appeared we were both thrown here. When I sat up and took in our surroundings, I immediately knew. This was the Lost Woods. Thank you, Joker. You saved me. Are you hurt anywhere? Are you okay?
Amelie.
As I tried to stand up, he grabbed my arm and pulled me toward him.
I'm so glad that you're safe.
Joker sighed in relief and held me tight. Joker. Normally, I would have turned bright red and resisted his embrace. But now, surprisingly, my desire to remain like this surpassed any embarrassment I might have felt.
It's dangerous to interact with the Spinner of Tales. He is the embodiment of the rules that bind the worlds of Wonderland. If he doesn't permit us to appear in Wonderland, we not only will be stripped of our memory, but our very existence might be erased.
Listening to his words, I became sure of something I had suspected all along. The Spinner of Tales was most likely the one who had stolen my memory, as well as Joker's. Thanks for protecting me, Joker. I again expressed my gratitude and returned his embrace somewhat shyly. Having my arms around him, I could feel that his body was physically fit. You knew he was dangerous, and yet you tried to protect me. As soon as the Spinner of Tales appeared, before we even knew how he might react, Joker stepped up in my defense, and that made me inordinately happy. I'm glad you're all right, Joker.
Amelie.
I curled into his embrace, and Joker tightened his arms around me. He held me as if he would never let me go. There was no more sign of the Spinner of Tales. All that surrounded us were the trees that would confound anyone who stepped into the Lost Woods.
The next preview will be brought to you by us, the Card Soldiers. Stop being so glum. Where is your pride as a card soldier? Don't call me that when we're in the public eye. Excuse us. Now, let's turn to the matter at hand.
Cheshire Cat.
Kyle abruptly appeared in the Lost Woods.
I know, but I don't plan on sharing. Let's go, Amelie.
The Cheshire Cat, Joker, and Alice are once again crossing paths. See? You did it, little bro. Hey, didn't I say not to call me that outside of the house?